In our years of working and counseling and coaching various couples from different backgrounds, and one thing that we found out to be sure, one thing we know for sure, is that the marriages people have, the experiences they have in their marriages, is a function of who they are. Because it is who you are that you bring into the relationship. If you want the marital experience to be better, you have to become a better version of yourself. And this is one thing we've realized, that it doesn't matter what the background is, it doesn't matter the gender, at the end of the day, it's who we are that will bring into a relationship. So to save a marriage that is going down the drain, to rescue a marriage until the individuals are willing to make the adjustment, sometimes it's a mental adjustment, and sometimes it's attitudinal adjustment, sometimes it's knowledge adjustment. There are different adjustments people need to make. Without making those adjustments, committing to the process, there's nothing that can be done.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us. I am Chidi Akunna.
And I am Victor Akunna.
If you're new to our channel, Foundation for Family Affairs, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified when we drop our content. At Foundation for Family Affairs, our mission is to connect hearts and raise healthy families. Oh yes, we believe your marriage can survive.
Yes.
We believe that people come together for a good purpose.
Absolutely.
Okay, to stay married,
Absolutely.
to enjoy marriage. So that's why we're talking about what we will be talking about today. Why some marriages never make it. As sad as that may come across, that's the truth. Some marriages just never make it. It breaks our hearts when we hear people who have been together, okay, who we have known together, go separate ways. That's really sad. Really, really sad. Because we believe that if people are equipped with the tools, the right information, like you were saying earlier, the right knowledge, they should be able to make these things work, to make marriage work.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so do we dive in?
Yes, let's dive in right away.
I'll take the first point. Some people are stuck on a way of thinking that does not benefit their marriage or their present situation. We're having this conversation and we're saying some people, to give a practical example, some people may have migrated from where they used to live. So what that means is that their current situation is very different from where they're coming from.
Yes.
Okay, if you're from, say, an African nation, the way of thinking there will certainly be different from the way of thinking in a Western nation. So what that says is you will need to let go of a way of thinking and adopt a new way of thinking to be able to achieve something good. I can see you're raring to say something.
Yes, I wanted to say something in addition to what you said, which was more like, so by what we mean by if you come from an African country, so what we mean by that is in a society that is highly patriarchal, where everything is from the male point of view. It's not egalitarian. It's not, let's have a talk. This is what we want to do. This is the school. I want to hear your own point of view. All right. So in some societies, the woman doesn't have a say in the conversation. That's what we're trying to say. So if you're coming from an environment where that is highly patriarchal, and you come to an environment that is egalitarian, where because I'm not superior to you because I'm a man, we are creating an egalitarian relationship whereby you have a say as well. You have a stake, and so you have a say in the relationship. If I don't make that mental switch, that mental adjustment, I'm going to be trying to impose my belief system about the direction, even though I'm the leader of the home. But leader doesn't mean autocratic kind of leadership. It's transformational, where you are including other people, other stakeholders in the discussion or in the discourse that you are having at the moment. So if I don't make that mental switch, I might be trying to impose my own perspective, and you are going to be feeling alienated.
Of course.
You're going to be feeling like, what's the point of me investing in this relationship and I don't have a say in the way things are run? Nobody will feel like they want to belong in that kind of a situation. So one of the key points we're talking about is that when people are stuck in their way of doing things, now we need to understand something. Thoughts have consequences. All right? Your way of thinking produces certain life experiences, produces certain outcomes. So if you have a thought, you have the right to hold any thoughts. The consequences of those thoughts can either be damning or positive. So when you hold a thought that is creating a negative energy, creating a negative experience for your spouse, for your family, you need to review that thought, even though it's something that you truly believe in. So for example, I think that my word is final. That's my belief system. I hold that belief system that my word is final. And I project that thought. That thought has a consequence. It's going to impact on our chemistry. It's going to impact on our intimacy, and which will create a ripple effect, spill over to our children. So, thoughts are so powerful. If you hold on to a thought that doesn't serve your family, that does not drive your family forward, that does not bring unity, you need to reevaluate that thought and let go. And let go of any thought that is disempowering, any thought that is limiting, any thought that creates a toxic environment. It's not about your ego. If I was listening to this, I would say this and then we'll move to the next point, which was more like, somebody said something and he said that we will achieve so much if we don't care who takes the credit. We will achieve a lot. I can't remember who gave that quote. I was listening to a book From Good to Great, and the man said it, Jim Collins mentioned that we'll achieve so much if we don't care who takes the credits. So in a situation like this whereby I'm thinking, you know what, it doesn't have to be my own idea that will be the idea. If it's my wife's idea that is superior, that is better at the moment, hey, well and good. As a family, we'll make much progress. Rather than me thinking that it has to be me. The spiritual idea has to come from me. The financial idea has to come from me. Nobody makes progress like that.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a very phenomenal quote there. Okay, so the next point we have is when you focus on your needs, okay, and not bothering about the needs of your spouse or your marriage. Yeah, there are needs for every marriage. Every marriage has a need. Yeah. We need to, at that point, be thinking, am I just concerned about serving me or serving the marriage, serving us? Okay, when we say you focused on it, it's a bit selfish. Okay, it's about me. I'm not thinking us. Okay, don't forget we're talking about why some marriages never make it. Yeah. Where marriage does not work with one person. Okay, just staying stuck on yourself. It takes two to tango.
Absolutely.
Can two work together unless they agree? So I should be looking out for the needs of my spouse. I should be wanting to make out what's going on with my husband. Okay, in as much as I may not be feeling right at this moment, I shouldn't be so stuck on how I'm feeling that I don't care to check on the other. Because sometimes some people, you may be going through something and then you're so fixed on it that you don't realize that your spouse is also going through other things. Sometimes you don't even realize that because you're not paying attention to the other parties in the marriage, your spouse and children, it is then beginning to affect things in the home. That shouldn't be the case. A typical example is that of someone who lost his job. Okay, because at that point he was feeling really low. Or are you saying to me that I will be living off my wife's salary until I get something? And he was putting in all the efforts to get another job, but it wasn't happening as soon as he wanted. So what happened? He lapsed into a state. Now what he didn't realize at that point is he had dumped the entire burden of the marriage on his wife. She had to care for the children and she was concerned about his well-being as well, his mental health. But at that point he was so consumed with what he was feeling at the time that things started to go south. That's not where we want to be. We need to be able to catch ourselves to realize it's a marriage. I should not just look out for my needs. Even though I'm not feeling right, I should also be able, I think it's a sense of maturity, a sense of responsibility to know that I am responsible for others as well.
And we're not saying that you should lose your identity in the relationship. You should lose your individuality. All right, you should not look after it. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that when you perpetually, the key word here, perpetually think only about yourself. Everything, all the decisions you are thinking, what works for me? What is going to work for me? You're not thinking about what is going to work in the best interest of our marriage. What is going to work in the best interest of my spouse? The way marriage works, marriage does not take number two. It has to be number one. Of course, after God. It has to be number one. So anything you're prioritizing above your marriage, the marriage you're going to negatively react to it. That's how it works. So anytime you're making a call, I want to make a purchasing decision, I want to spend something, I'm not thinking, can my family afford this right now? All right, I want to do XYZ. Can we afford this as a family? I'm thinking, you know what? I need to go for that meeting. I need to look fly. That's what I'm thinking. It doesn't matter maybe once, twice, but when you perpetually make decision by focusing on just yourself, your personal needs, your family is going to react, because the system of marriage does not function correctly like that. So you have to come to that point to realize, like she said, this is a marriage. You need to run things through your spouse. You need to come to that point where you create what we call in HR an inclusive environment, where not just a diverse environment, an inclusive environment where people feel like they belong, where they feel that their voice matters, where they feel that their interests matter, where they feel validated. That is the only way marriage will work. So if you don't build that kind of community, you're going to build a community, a marriage where everyone is focusing on themselves, and you don't want to have that kind of chaotic environment where you are all together answering the same name, but there is nothing family about you guys. Everyone is an individual. There's no family entity. There's no family identity. There are no family values. There are no common goals, no common vision. That's not what we want.
I like that you said we're not talking about you not caring for yourself. You should be caring for yourself. But do not be so consumed on that you forget the needs of the other. Okay, so the next point you have for you is not learning or improving yourself. Not learning or improving yourself. They would often say when people know better, they often do better. Okay, it matters what you're doing with the knowledge you're acquiring. It should be obvious that you're learning. It should be obvious that you're gathering knowledge. Okay, and I think that's where we should be pushing to get to as individuals. But I came across this article, and the man was just talking and saying one thing he noticed was that his wife would make some demands, but he wasn't bothered about making the adjustments required. So it began to affect things in the marriage. We're talking about not learning or improving yourselves. The demands she was making were such that required that he made some adjustments.
Absolutely.
Okay, but he didn't. He stayed fixed. So that then led me to another article which was linked on Dr. Gottman. And he was trying to say something I found really fascinating. He was saying that oftentimes women are influenced by their husbands. Okay, but what he's come to know is that it's often difficult for men to be influenced by their wife. Now he gave a practical example. He said, you may see a woman come in and say, oh, I'm going to need your help tomorrow because mom will be coming over. And then you hear the man say, oh no, my plan for the day is fixed. I can't make any adjustments. So when things like that, when that kind of situation keeps playing out in the relationship on a continuous basis, that marriage is, I don't know, the possibility of that marriage surviving would be very slim.
For you to grow, you have to change. For the marriage to grow, the couples need to change. All right. So for you to have this kind of experience and then have a better experience, you have to grow. And growth requires change, and change is inconvenient for most people. Most people would rather stay the way they are because why? We are creatures of habits. You want to deal with the familiar. You want to know that tomorrow sun is going to set, sun is going to rise, it's going to set. You want to know that things are going to be predictable. People don't like change, So sometimes there are changes that happen to us. There are changes that we have to initiate. In marriage, you have to initiate a lot of the change. And one of the ways you have to initiate change is by growing, by learning. I think I was listening to Dr. Mike Murdoch, one of the foremost speakers on wisdom. He said something. He said, any area of your life you want to master, you should have read and applied at least a minimum of the number of books that equals your age. So if you are 50, you should have read and applied at least 50 relevant sound books in that area. So in the area of marriage, for example, you should have read at least 50 books. Read at least 50 books. Not just read, apply, because that's where the power is. So there is no how you research you do such research, something will not change. A belief system about you will not change. Because at the end of the day, what causes conflict is different belief system, expectations people have of themselves, of their spouse. Some of those changes will make some adjustments, and when those adjustments are made, the marriage becomes better. Remember what we started by saying, that it is who we are that will bring into a relationship. When you get better, your relationship needs to adjust. That's how it works.
Yes, true that. Okay, next point: not addressing issues quickly and effectively. Not addressing issues quickly and effectively. I always say, when it comes to conflict, managing conflict in marriage, time is of the essence. It matters how soon you get things resolved. It matters how soon you get a counselor involved. It matters how soon you seek redress regarding that situation. Let's not sit back. The reason they say most marriages break up in the first 7 years, it's just because issues are not addressed quickly and effectively. What do we mean by effectively? When an issue is addressed effectively, it means that we achieve the desired results.
Absolutely.
So if we are saying we're addressing this issue, we're talking, at least I'm talking to him. No, that's not enough. Is the issue being addressed? Are we achieving the result we want to? Okay? And it's at that point that a lot of flexibility is required. I like the last point we dealt with, because that point I can link to communication as well. Okay, one person may say, oh, well, I'm talking, but we're not, the talking is not leading to the resolution of this problem. So it means that I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. It's not enough that you're not making the adjustment required for us to deal with this situation. It's very important.
I like the point of handling it effectively, because sometimes people think they have the tools to manage an issue. If you are handling an issue that you are unable to move forward from, you keep coming back to the same point, it shows that both of you do not have the tool, either both of you or one of you do not have the necessary tools for navigating that challenge. So sometimes you have to go and acquire the skills. Conflict management is not enough that, oh, we want to resolve this conflict. There are effective ways of managing conflicts. There are tools, there are basic ways, there are things you need to do to be able to effectively manage conflict. So if you are not effectively managing a conflict and it's now impacting your relationship in other areas, it needs to be addressed. But that's sometimes why marriages don't fail, or why marriages don't make it. Right? Because those conflicts are not effectively addressed. So what happens? Relationships spirals down to contempt, begin to resent each other. They can't stand each other. So because now what has not been addressed is still simmering in their emotions, and they are analyzing their spouse through that prism. Be like, this guy doesn't care. This guy doesn't care about me. And so everything the guy is doing, the judgment, the conclusion of the whole matter is that he doesn't care. And so suspicion begins to brew in some situation depending on what the case is. So it's very important for issues to be addressed effectively. And one of the tools for addressing an issue effectively is rendering apology in the language that your spouse understands. Rendering an apology in the language your spouse understands. So there are different apology languages. I will ask you to go and visit Dr. Gary Chapman's website to be able to do the test to understand your own language of apology and your spouse's. It's very important. Okay. Another way is using the right word. There are many tools, but this is not the video for that. But key thing is addressing conflict effectively. All right, very important. Otherwise, things can spiral out of control, and you'll be wondering, how did you get here? It's just by little missteps. Then it continues like that. Things spiral out of control.
Okay, the final point: not creating fun memories. Not creating fun memories. Now, we cannot create fun memories if we're not intentional.
Yes.
There's a level of intentionality required.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that means that I am intentional about connecting with you. You see, so if we're going to make this marriage work, there's got to be some intentionality. And and when we people, sometimes what we see is that some people prefer to create fun memories with their friends, with others, than with their spouse. Okay, and that's marriage. Marriage doesn't work. You got to give it some time.
Yes.
Okay, if you're enjoying the company of others more than your spouse's company, then we need to be looking into it.
That's not good.
Why is that the case? Okay, why do you find your spouse's company boring? You may need to talk about it as a couple. It's possible that one person is very adventurous, the other is very minimalistic. So it's something to talk about. So the one who is minimalistic can know, okay, I need to venture more, at least get into the other's interests so we can spice things up. Otherwise, the other will be feeling like, oh, I want to go mountain climbing, and he's not interested. You can at least walk with the other to the foot of the mountain.
I like that, the foot of the mountain. The key thing about relationship is that when no relationship will be positive all through, there are down times, maybe not because of what your spouse did or something they did not do, or just that both of you are just experiencing a phase in your relationship. At that time, people begin to process it, right? More like, who am I alone? Who do I have? Is these fond memories that you remember? All right. So if some people like their dad more than their mom, why? The fond memories they had with their dad. Some people like their mom more than their dad. Why? The fond memories they had with their mom. The sacrifice that their mom made. So it's important that if you, while you were a child, have some of these memories, some of the cherished memories, you have to be intentional about building your own memories, not just with your children, but with your spouse. You have to be intentional about doing those things that will put a smile on your spouse's face. We call it romantic moves. The little but consistent things you do on a daily basis in the pursuit of your spouse's heart, attention and happiness. You have to be intentional about doing those things. For some people, it's gifts. Some people, it's going out. Some people is going on vacation. Some people is investing time alone. Some people is going and just lock yourself in a hotel and just chill, just change the environment. Whatever you have to do, it doesn't have to be something of big budget. Sometimes people wait like, we cannot afford this, we cannot afford it, we cannot afford it. You cannot afford not to do it. You cannot afford not to do it. Don't think that your marriage is so solid that it can survive all kind of attacks. Marriages are being attacked on a daily basis. How do they attack marriages? By attacking each of the individuals in the marriage. Once your spouse gets to that point, they are beginning to be overwhelmed, they don't feel connected to you, your marriage is already going to be suffering. Why? It is the individual in your relationship that makes it what it is. Right? Invest time in building positive emotions. Invest time in focusing on each other. Invest time in nurturing each other. That's how you get your marriage. Marriage in itself, you can't improve it. It's an institution. But when you to have the best experience, the individual has to be in the best emotional and mental health, physical health. That's how to get marriage moving.
It is possible. It doesn't matter how bad your marriage is at the moment. It is possible to work something beautiful out of it.
Correct.
It is possible. If both parties are willing to give it what it takes, just that willingness can do a lot of good to your relationship. And we hope that would be the case. If you are in a state where you think you need someone to walk with you both on the journey, we'll be happy to do that. I mean, even if your spouse is not in on it yet, okay, you can contact us. The link is in the description box. I will be happy to work with you. Fill the form, we'll be in touch with you. If you're yet to subscribe to our channel, Foundation for Family Affairs, please hit the subscribe button now, and we will see you on the next one. Before we leave, we must say thank you to every returning subscriber.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, and thank you for staying here till the end. See you on the next one. Bye.